and discuss the DC local catalyst. We just heard, I understand from the House Freedom Caucus,
Well, it's a great question, Chris, because even after we heard from him, I was in that gap. It was a little bit confusing what the sticking issues actually are. Trump and his message is change. Take a listen to two of the members of the House Freedom Caucus and what they a source running out of patience with the hardliners, also the moderates, as they initial tax cut bill in 2017, Johnson overnight making an offer with the sources we spoke to, making that cap at 40K. That now means that hardliners want even more changes, especially when it comes to repealing and phasing out those clean energy tax credits. All in all, they will head to the White House this afternoon. Not only members of the House Freedom Caucus, I'm told, but also Speaker Johnson and members of his leadership team to sit down again with the president, see if he can put pressure on them, because there is progress. They are close. Whether they can get it done today, tomorrow, or even into the weekend is still a question mark. But that's the red line that Johnson drew for them, Chris.
Conservative, Republicans, Democrats are outraged that this bill is being pushed without any clarity about what actually is it. Take a listen.
What the hell are you so scared of that you guys are holding this hearing at 1 o'clock in the morning? We may be here in the dead of night, but you do not need the light of day to smell. You can't shovel and call it sugar.
You've been involved in some of these high stakes negotiating sessions. I mean, maybe not way out, maybe one day out. They don't have the votes clearly. What's your gut? Where's this going?
Yeah, I've never seen a rules committee hearing, which is basically how you tee up a bill to get a vote start before a bill is done or before a bill's even done being negotiated. So this is a new one for me. Look, I find this all kind of silly. The rules committee hearing aside, I think what's going on here is you have the New York members, the other folks who cared about the state and local tax deduction, were playing the role of objectors, and they were driving a hard bargain. They finally got what they were looking for, which is a higher cap on that state and local tax. But being the roadblock, that's the job of the Freedom Caucus. So now they feel like, hey, wait a minute, that was our block. Now it's our turn to get something out of this. And Joey said, it's not exactly clear what it is that they're asking for. I think they just want to be in the center of attention. I've always said the sort of organizing principle of the House Freedom Caucus is just being relevant. Yes, they're conservative, sure, but they just like being in the middle of things. And so I'm sure they're very glad that they now have a meeting at the White House with the president where he can hear them out and maybe they can get some kind of change for themselves. But I think we all know the contours of where this is going is not changing very much. Everybody needs to kind of say their piece, and then they'll figure it out. I do still expect, whether it's today or tomorrow or the next day, they're going to get it done this week because they are very close. And there's no reason not to. Basically, just hanging out over a congressional recess where the members are going to get beat up over it. So they'll figure it out before two interesting members need to make it relevant again, and then we can move on.
If there is a reason not to accept this or something very close to it, Brendan, it may be this. The U.S. debt is on pace to set a record that goes back to 1790. And that was even before this large tax and spending bill was taken into account. If Moody's downgrading of the U.S. credit rating wasn't enough to scare fiscal conservatives into putting on brakes, is a record debt going to do it? Does anybody care about the debt really anymore?
It's a great question. I mean, obviously, consider myself a fiscal conservative. I do work with fiscal conservatives. It's something that is should be core to what the party stands for. You know, look, Donald Trump isn't one. And I think that's been very clear for a long time. He talked about how we're going to balance the budget, but I'm not sure that he actually cares a whole lot about that. I do want to emphasize something that you said. We have a huge debt problem, not because of this bill or not, like this, whether or not this passes or not. We have a huge debt problem because presidents and Congresses for decades have contributed to it. You would think that a credit downgrading is the type of thing that's going to wake people up, but that doesn't seem like it's really doing anything. This is going to be, I think, something that is going to be a cloud that's going to hover over politics for quite a while. There's no real easy fix to this at this point. And we lived in good times for a while, a time where, frankly, if there was a crisis, Congress could step in and pass a bunch of money like we did during COVID. I don't know that we're capable of doing that anymore when it comes to inflation and bond rates and things like that. We're in a bad place. And so I think people need to pay a lot of attention to this. It's very serious. As I said, it's something that I work on personally. And although I don't think it's going to carry the day here, I think we're heading towards passage sometime soon. And this is what it is.
Mortgage rates just went back up again. I think it's over 7%. Oh, Brendan Bach. Such a pleasure always to talk to you, Julie Circuit. Keep us posted on how things are going. Appreciate you both. We do have some sad news from the Hill today. Democratic Congressman Jerry Connolly of Virginia has passed away after a long battle with esophageal cancer. First elected to Congress back in 2008, Connolly served as the top Democrat on the powerful House Oversight Committee just until late last month. He stepped down after his cancer returned. During his congressional career, he won re-election 8 times, known for his vocal advocacy of federal workers and his frequent clashes with Republicans during televised hearings. We're told he passed away peacefully this morning at home, surrounded by family. Jerry Connolly was 75 years old. We'll be right back.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available. Designed
Preface, so anything else. And I want to show you all process. You might remember when I spoke to you, and we spoke about God, you said I should start practicing. And I've started practicing everything, so I'm ready. But let me end just an introduction remarks by thanking you. You may not recall that 5 years ago I spoke to you during the COVID period. And it was at a time when the whole world was going through a really cathartic moment. And we asked for assistance, and we were able to assist us with respirators, and you catch your words, delivered respirators to us. We didn't have as many in our country. It really helped to help us deal with COVID. So I'm here to also say thank you and to thank the people of America for having helped us during a really difficult time. In this small economy that we are, we needed help to go around the world. And to provide that. So thank you very much. Yeah. I appreciate it. Yeah. I've just spoke to you. So, yeah, thank you very much. Any questions? Well, and we see there's a lot of questions that are very pointed with, and questions the same as we've had tremendous complaints about Africa, about other countries too. Okay. They say there's a lot of bad things going on in Africa, and that's what we're going to be discussing today. When you say we don't take others, what you have to do is take a look at the southern border. We let 21 million people come through our border, totally unchecked, totally ungutted. They came from all over the world. In many cases, they're criminals. They come from prisons. They come from mental institutions. They come from street gangs and drug dealers. So don't say that we didn't take them. We're taking. We're trying to get them out as fast as we can. And we're doing record business on that. And we just want a big case. We're allowed to send back hundreds of criminals to Venezuela. Just won that today in the Supreme Court. I'm happy to hear. But we do have a lot of people are very concerned with regard to South Africa. That's really the purpose of the meeting. We'll see how that turns out. But we have many people that feel they're being persecuted and they're coming to the United States. So we take from many locations if we feel there's persecution or genocide going on. And we had a lot of people. I must tell you, Mr. President, we had a tremendous number of people, especially since they've seen this. Generally, they're white farmers and they're fleeing South Africa. And it's a very sad thing to see. But I hope we can have an excellent one. It's it's a kind of a different meeting. Normally we have meetings, we talk about trade, and we'll be talking about trade and other things. But that certainly will be the subject that comes up. Brian, thank you very much. Let me just also petition James to reference the whole thing according to him. Petition James says that last state, British Watson asked to put down that her father was her husband in order. This is very similar to, I guess, well, I don't know what it is currently, but Letitia James, who's the Attorney General of New York State, it seemed, I'm not involved in that at all. I know that it's being handled by some various groups, I guess, but it's major fraud. Mortgage documents and fraudulent everything. I think she said the father was her husband, which she had to have a husband. So she chose her father. And she put it down and she said, and she signed in Virginia, and she said she lived in Virginia, and she's a New York State Attorney General. She did that for tax reasons, so she could take advantage of taxes. And she had the wrong number of years, she had a much different number, which would have allowed her to qualify and scam the government. So I don't know. I think she's very bad for New York, but I really don't know too much about it. But I appreciate the question. Thank you very much. Yes.
Thank you.
Well, I want to see this. I want to see happiness. I want to see health. And you have incredible land. It's tremendous value. A lot of countries don't have that value as a land value. We have a situation. I think you probably heard about it. We've done through some very talented people help settle a war that's been raging for years. Rwanda and the Congo. And I think we've done it.
Good. You want thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Have a good
Never mind, I documented immigrants. And in answer to that, David Kelly,
day.
in South Africa that doesn't exist, and yet the president of the United States sitting in this Nexus coverage used that as a term, not that he was necessarily accused, but like that's been talked about the way that Trump does with language that not only welcomed the ability to talk about the topic, he said this is the purpose of the meeting. I mean, you heard the South African president come with a whole list of things as we were discussing, like very well practiced brief here, like the decorations of the Oval Office are great, and let's talk about trade. This is an issue, and where our countries can work together. The South African president brought up, even though all of the, we expected this to be, the president of the United States said this is the purpose of the meeting. And so, yeah, the South African president's response to that, I don't, obviously, we've heard it previously, he doesn't think there's a genocide going on in this country, and doesn't see the facts of that either. So I'm not quite sure how that meeting that takes place, where that conversation goes.
and it was interesting that the South African president very well could have jumped in to say, no, that's not true. But he, like every other world leader on the planet, saw what happened when Zelensky did that in the Oval Office.
Yeah, because explaining the history of South Africa to Donald Trump, he doesn't apparently know that part of what's going on in South Africa is how to address the fact that the African population have been oppressed for generations and generations, and they're being taken away, and inability to move forward in society for decades and decades and decades. The South African government is trying to right that wrong. So this idea, I think that these white South Africans are the oppressed, really, I think, dovetails with Donald Trump's role as like the patron saint of white person's politics, right? He is the defender of white people here. He's also the defender of white people in South Africa. So he is welcoming them as oppressed. He can't see any oppression of black folks in South Africa. He can't see any oppression of anyone else who might be coming from South America either. Their oppression is him, where he really feels, what his base really feels is this idea that it's actually white people, be they in South Africa or be they in America, that are oppressed.
And we see that this meeting is continuing. We're going to sneak in a quick break. Don't go anywhere. We will be back with more of what's happening there and other news going on here in Washington.
800-763-9977, 800-763-9977, 800-763-9977. The success you already had matters at university and around the global campus because we're a school for real life. An accredited state university, UMGC lets you earn up to 90 credits toward a bachelor's for prior learning, life, and work experience, or transfer up to 12 credits toward a master's. We offer affordable tuition and online and hybrid courses. Application fee if you apply by May 30th. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by share.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health. Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like it better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
Did not believe how my hearing in life changed. Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, but any disease as with any dietary supplement. Consult your healthcare provider for use, especially recommend taking medication on a regular basis.
Are you on a GLP-1 medication like Ozempic or Mounjaro? Looking for a simple, effective way to keep the muscle while you lose the fat? Then you need Replenza, the delicious nutritional drink physician formulated specifically for GLP-1 users with a unique amino acid blend to help prevent muscle loss. Your facility. Now you can feel your best and look your best journey on a GLP-1. Get Replenza at CDLX. If you're driving a car, truck, an expired warranty, and suddenly lost your transmission or needed a full engine repair, would it leave you stranded? I'm Danica Patrick. Choose the company I trust. Endurance. If your vehicle is less than 20 years old, Endurance offers auto protection on the drivetrain, AC, and more. Get 1 full year of elite benefits, a $2,000 value, free.
Call for your fast report today. 800-319-6848. 800-319-6848.
Louisiana State Police are showing new photos of the moment they captured a escaped in the New Orleans jailbreak nearly a week ago. So, after officials say a maintenance worker bust out by shutting off the water so they could leave. Enforcement Ryan Chandler, 200 officials are working
Massive ban on prison is mostly centered here. There are some details in the arrest affidavit. According to authorities, told them he had been allowing the inmates to cut through the plumbing and the cell wall, eventually walked out or crawled out of at threat of violence from the inmates. He says that the inmates asked him to turn off the water and threatened to shake him if he did it. Authorities say he should have gone directly to authorities to report that behavior instead of complying. Interestingly, Chris, we just heard from the district attorney of New Orleans, who just wrapped up a tour of the jail and meetings with officials to try and see the security issues here for himself. He walked out and spoke to the press for a little bit, and he said he expects more employees at the jail to be arrested within the week.
Ryan Chandler, thank you for that. Let me bring in Jason Williams, district attorney for Orleans Parish. Is that your expectation that there will be more jail employees, especially given the fact that by some accounts it was 8 or 10 hours before anybody even reported the fact that these 10 inmates were missing?
Chris, that's absolutely right. I can't imagine only one individual assisted from a civilian capacity to make good this jailbreak. This did not happen in a matter of moments or minutes. There was some time, there was some planning, and we're going to pull in every thread until we find out who all was involved.
It's part of a separate investigation. I know this is probably not your area, but we saw that someone had written, it looked like in pencil above the hole where they escaped, "Too easy," should be TOO, but because I have to say that my English teacher friends will not be happy with me. But was it too easy? I mean, and especially given that at least one of these inmates had escaped previously from a different facility, so apparently had some practice at it.
Actually, multiple of these individuals have escaped custody in the past. Kilo Miles escaped custody as well as Massey escaped custody from an adult facility in another parish. Individuals who made good escapes in the past certainly should not have been housed or had access to the first floor. And that is the area in which they were able to escape from. Today, I was able to see that pod and that cell that we're looking at right now up close and personal. I was able to see the type of folks that were used, able to see the way in which those bars were defeated. And this should not have happened. This is a, when you look at that picture, you can see some of the measures that have been taken, and it's just simply incomprehensible that inmates could have done this on their own or with the help of a single person.
What did seeing it in person, Mr. Attorney, tell you that will be useful to your prosecution, or I should say, maybe ultimately prosecution?
Well, I'm not going to jeopardize the investigation with the prosecution, but if you're talking about how bars were cut, it's important to know whether or not there was foot marks to suggest that some sort of torch was used, or if there's strike marks or cuts on the side of them to suggest that some sort of cutting instrument was used. So I wanted to know what evidence there was that they were using in court to connect this with whatever tool or instrumentality was used, so we can figure out where that tool came from and who used it.
For the maintenance worker at $1.1 million. That's more, at least in my limited experience of covering these kinds of stories, than any for felony murder. Why was it set that high?
They thought a high bond was necessary. Obviously, he is not charged with homicide himself, talking about Sterling Williams. But based on what we know right now, he aided in releasing a convicted murderer onto the streets. And that's a very, very serious offense. One of these individuals was gang affiliated. There are a number of the homicide, double homicide that he committed happened when he shot indiscriminately into a crowd of women and children and men at a Mardi Gras Day barbecue. So what he has done is put the public in real danger, and really is dangerous.
What's the level of fear in the community right now?
The level of fear is high, as it should be. Everyone needs to be on high alert and remain on high alert until these remaining fugitives are in custody of men. And I believe that they are going to get more and more desperate over time as their families who may have thought or helped them early on realize that the circle is tightening, and they become desperate as well, and they will find fewer and fewer places to hide. So the fact, as I've said before, that someone has not gotten hurt by one of these individuals trying to take a car and get out of the parish, that is just the grace of God. So we all need to be on in the system and out of the system.
Jason Williams, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris.
Up next, the Trump administration's new position on the COVID vaccine and why it may mean that everyone who wants a shot may not be able to get one. And later, a dramatic cut in flights at one of the nation's busiest airports after weeks of issues. What these changes would mean for you ahead of the summer travel season.
Are you like millions of Americans who avoided filing their taxes this year because you're afraid you'll owe the IRS thousands, tens of thousands, or even hundreds of thousands of dollars? Well, you don't need to be afraid anymore. Tax Relief Advocates has the solution. We can file your back tax years and be able to reduce or even eliminate what you owe. With over 1,000 five-star reviews on Google and an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, we helped over 100,000 Americans just like you permanently and painlessly resolve their IRS debt. Our resolution specialist is waiting to speak to you now. We will let you know what tax debt reduction you may qualify for. Don't wait. And
800-277-6207.
Control those who qualify and enroll for this relief program. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation. This is a relief program that credit rather you not know about. As it ends your debt nightmare, and consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates is a relief hotline you call to